What's going on, everybody? John Arapoli here with My MMA News. And funny story about today's interview. Today's guest was supposed to be fighting Jessica Eye at UFC Vegas 42 on November 13th. I recorded an interview, was about to run it. The day that I was going to run it, wake up that morning, see the news. Cynthia Calvillo has now replaced Jessica Eye, and now we'll be fighting Andrea Lee again on that UFC Vegas 42 card. So now recording an interview with me for a second time is Andrea Lee. Andrea, thank you so much for once again doing this and recording another interview with me. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course. It's no problem at all. As you can see, I just got out of the shower. So nice wet hair.
The hair's not too bad. We were gabbing for a little bit before we came on air here, and it was really soaked in, so it's been drying up nicely now. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's get into the big news here. So, of course, like I said there, you're supposed to fight Jessica Eye. Why don't you go ahead and explain this process to everybody? Because it had to be a whirlwind of a couple of days, right? Because I think we recorded an interview on, it was a Friday. By Tuesday, there was the opponent change. So explain this 5-day process of the UFC telling you Jessica Eye's out, Cynthia Calvillo's in.
Well, first of all, I had a friend who messaged me. They had seen a post Jessica I had made, and Jessica was in the hospital. I didn't realize at that moment that she was out because I hadn't been on social media all day. So when I got the text from my friend, I went to Jessica's page and I read everything, and I guess she's having some health issues. So, obviously she's not going to be able to fight. She said she was having to pull out. So I messaged my manager because I don't guess he had heard yet. And I asked him, I told him, I said, Jessica is out. I'm like, what are we going to do? I don't have an opponent. And then he messaged me back like later that day. And he said, Maynard is suggesting Cynthia Calvillo. Let me know what your team thinks and get back to me. So, we talked about it, and, we were excited about the matchup. Plus Cynthia is a higher ranked opponent. So, I mean, it's still, it's a really good fact that it's in the top 10, top 5. So I'm very excited about it. I'm eager about it. I like Cynthia a lot. Actually, her and I hung out at the fight week. We hung out in fight week. We were just talking about that. And she's also, trained with Tony, and they were really good friends. So, it's bittersweet, but it is what happens, in this fight game, especially if we're in the same weight class. We're all going to match up with each other, and, maybe we've even trained together. We haven't trained together, but sometimes that happens. You train with your, somebody in the same weight class as you, and then you end up fighting them later down the road. It happens. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens sometimes too, like that. But one other thing I wanted to ask you with this whole last-minute replacement and everything, obviously the ball's in your court. If you were like, all right, my opponent dropped out, it's short notice, I can't do this, nobody would fault you there. Why did you decide, like, you know what, hey, I'm scheduled November 13th, I'm going to fight on that date no matter what?
Well, I've been training, I've been in fight camp for the past 6 weeks, in great shape, and there's no point in me to not take a fight when they're giving me the opportunity. Plus, I need this fight, and, the holidays are coming up, and I'm trying my best to climb the ranks. I've said before, like, I don't really want to focus on the ranks so much, but at the same time, I still want to climb the ranks. So, I mean, this is an opportunity, when one door closes, another opens, and this door is open. So, I want to take it. And I think it's a great matchup. I think it'll still be a fun fight. I think it's a fan favorite fight, actually.
Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of fans are going to definitely be dialed into this one too. Great matchup, great in the rankings and everything else. But one of the things too that I have to ask about this too is obviously going through training camp, right? It's got to be difficult, I'm sure, right now where you're have a game plan in place, focused, dialed in, all on one opponent, take that, just crumble that right up, toss it right out the window there, and try to come up with a whole brand new game plan. How difficult does that have to be?
It throws you off a little bit, but it's not a completely different, I don't have to change up everything so much. I mean, Cynthia, she likes to strike, and she likes to shoot for, unorthodox takedowns. And I mean, she's really good at setting everything up with her hands and then shooting in. And so, I mean, I'm still going to have to, focus on, defending takedowns or whatever. I think the game plan is still fairly similar. Jessica's a good grappler, and she's also known, she has a background in wrestling, and she also likes to stand and bang. So I mean, I think it's still a very similar situation, but Cynthia does move a lot more. She feints a lot more, and I think I don't think that I have to change up too much though.
So the last time when we did this too, we recorded this. You gave a very good answer, obviously, which people are going to hear. But to just kind of alliterate it, we were talking about how it's different training with women as opposed to guys. But one of the things you were saying there was how Cynthia's going to do things to try to set different things up, get you in like a trap position, kind of. Well, in your answer, you were talking about training with Tony and how he's always like 5, 6 steps ahead of where you would be at, that he's always waiting to set you up with something. So do you think that now in a situation like this, having somebody like Tony that's helping you out kind of helps for an opponent like Cynthia that's always trying to bait you in to get you in a position for her to take you down or something like that?
Yes, most definitely. Yes, that is Tony's style of 100%. And it's great that I have someone who can help me prepare for that. That style is very similar. They like we were saying, guys are always like 5 steps ahead when it comes to like women in fight IQ. At least I think so anyway. So training with Tony is really going to help me prepare, I believe.
So when we were talking about Jessica the last time too, we were talking how we would assume she's going to come out fast in the fight. She's coming off of 3 straight losses. Cynthia might be a little bit different, right? Are you expecting a fast start to this fight like you would for Jessica? Or you think it's going to be a little bit more of a feeling out process possibly to start this one out?
I'm not sure. I think Cynthia's gonna come out like she always does. I mean, she comes out pretty fast, I mean, moving and like I said, fainting and throwing jabs and stuff. I believe she's gonna come out at like a pretty moderate pace, and get the fight going. And I'm planning on matching that almost immediately. I don't know. I don't really. I mean, the filling out process, it's kind of I don't know. It takes away, I think, from the time that you have in there. I like to get in there and get started pretty quickly, personally.
And now, one other thing too to ask, there's another thing that we did talk about in previous interviews. In the last one that we had recorded, we were talking about the different work of you with different teammates, right? We talked with new work with Miranda Maverick, Aspen Ladd, Tisha Torres, all those ladies, all different styles of fighting here. So again, in this scenario here that we're in right now, last minute opponent, somebody in the top 5, dealing with all these different skill sets of different ladies that you've trained with, does that kind of help make the situation kind of easier? Because every day when you would go to practice with somebody like that, you're seeing something different in the gym each day.
It does help a lot because, really, when you have so many different training partners that have different styles, you're having to adjust like immediately, like on the fly. It keeps you, like you're always having to think, and try to be a couple of steps ahead. And you're always having to try to like figure out, if they're beating you here, you got to figure out a way to like beat them. It helps tremendously. And unfortunately for me, I'm not able to get to Colorado, or I wasn't able to get to California for this fight camp, to be able to train with all those girls. But, I did get to train with a bunch of girls, a few weeks ago. And I have a good little team right here at home. So I feel lucky to have everything that I do have. But yes, having a variety of different girls, different training partners that have different techniques, it definitely helps you. And it definitely prepares you for situations like this.
And now, obviously, world of coronavirus, there's not a lot of, most of the time when we're seeing fights, there's no fans in the arenas. Your fight with Antonina, there was fans, but that was at a pay-per-view event. This one's going to be in the Apex. I know they're starting to slowly kind of let some people in there, but still pretty much a non-loud crowd, you could say, in there. So what's that kind of going to be like? Have you ever done this before, fighting with nobody in attendance like that?
I did. I fought against Roxanne, and that was a very awkward. It was very quiet, and I didn't do too well with that. I like to have the crowd. I feed off that energy. But if they're allowing some people in, I think that'll help. I mean, even just even like 100 people, if if it's that many, even 50 people, I'll be happy with that. I just want some cheering or something going on in the background, that'll help give me some energy. At least I think so anyways.
And speaking of cheering, when it comes to politics, there's a lot of cheering that goes on, a lot of crying too anymore. It seems like when it comes to politics, and I do want to ask you. This is something we did talk about again in that last interview with when we talked about Jessica. I want to ask you some of the stuff again here. So let's talk a little bit about politics here. Anyone that follows you on social media, they're going to see a lot of political posts from you on a bunch of different topics too. So where exactly did you start to like politics and kind of get an interest in stuff like that?
Again, I don't really like politics, but I started to take notice, just when I feel like the country started falling to shit. And, it's kind of hard not to notice when that's really all that you ever see when you turn the news on. I mean, that's all anyone ever sees nowadays, even on social media. I mean, everybody's posting something political. So I've started taking notice, and yes, there are some things that I'll voice my opinion on, or I'll repost something that I've seen that strikes my interest. But politics, I really hate it. I hate that the way that the world is right now, and I hate that everything is so divided. I wish we could all come together and agree, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't have hope for that either, because I'm the same way. I wish everybody could come along and agree or agree to disagree, so to speak.
Agree to disagree. At least we could agree to disagree. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's probably never going to happen, but hey, we'll hope that it does. And of course, anybody that sees the things that you post, they're going to notice that you're a conservative person. So I know you were saying there, you don't really like politics. You kind of just got paying attention to things. Is that kind of how I guess you became like a Republican and a conservative person, not just based off of your belief system? Or we see it time and time again that people's parents are a certain party, so they go whatever their parents are. The area they live in is heavily something or another. I know you're in Louisiana, that's a big conservative area. So how much of this was just the roots of where you grew up in, as opposed to just your personal beliefs?
Well, when I was a kid, and we started learning about politics, I did ask my family, like, were we Democrat or Republican, or what are y'all? What do you feel like you are? And my parents are like, oh, I guess, Republican. And I'm like, well, why I'm Republican? Like, why either one? So I just kind of just decided to be indifferent. I was like, well, I'll just be indifferent. And then, like, whenever something like, speaks to me, then that's how I feel like I would vote, depending on, what someone's policies are, is how I was gonna, vote one way or another. But I do feel myself leaning more towards, I guess, the Republican side than anything. But yeah, I'd still say that I'm more conservative than anything. And again, I even made the comment, I wish that we didn't even have Democrat and Republican. Like, we should just vote on policies and just get rid of the terms.
I agree with that too. That's how I always approach my way of how I vote. I vote for the person, not for the party. And I think we need more people like that in office. So one day when the fighting career is over, you have a great platform. Would you ever want to run for office, or is that off the table here?
Definitely not. Yeah, politics, definitely not my thing. I'm definitely not suited for it.
So the big thing too when it comes to politics, somebody's always pissed off somewhere. When you post something political on your Instagram or your Facebook or anything like that, does any fans ever give you a hard time and say, what's the matter with you? How could you say that? Delete you, whatever, something like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, of course I get some people that are like, oh, unfollow, like almost immediately. And then I've had somebody who, and he was being really nice about it. He was like, you should really, stay away from politics, or, like, you might end up getting cut because, your fans are the reason that I can't be sure how he worded it, but I was like, look, with all due respect, if I get cut, it's going to be because of my performance. It's not going to be because of my political beliefs, and it's not going to be because of an opinion that I have. I said, and besides, I said, I'm not necessarily posting a whole lot of political stuff. I'm just posting things that, I mean, I'm just posting things that aren't being talked about, is what I feel like. I'm posting things that you're not seeing, that it's not being promoted on the news. And, I was like, if I get cut, it's going to be my performance. It's not going to be because, for one thing or the other. And, some people don't understand like that, I'm a person, I'm a human being, and, I'm still allowed to have my own opinion about things. And that's what it is. It's just an opinion.
And how happy are you too that Dana White has to be such like a great boss for something like this too? Because he really lets the fighters have whatever platform they choose to have, as long as they're showing up and they're fighting so many times a year. He's happy, so to speak. You know what I mean? When it comes to any political issue, he doesn't, tell you guys the way you should act or shouldn't act. So just talk about him and just how great it is that you have a boss that lets you freak freely like that.
I think it's awesome, to have Dana, being such a cool boss like that. And he's not enforcing the vaccines or anything upon anyone. Unfortunately, though, there is that rule, any outsiders coming to the United States, they have to be vaxxed. So it's going to make it hard for those other fighters who are trying to fly in from out of the country. That's not a UFC policy, though. That's because of the federal policy that's going on right now, which I think is complete bullshit. But that's not a Dana White thing, so I still don't have to get, vaccinated if I don't want to. So no. Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, great job, Dan. Way to be a leader the way how one should be there. Leave it up to the people like that. And now one other thing, too, to ask you politically that is currently going on, big thing in the world right now, the PC movement. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. I'm sure you're going to agree with me here. What are your thoughts on this whole PC movement at the moment?
Yes, politically correct. I grew up just I grew up in a time where people would say really mean things. It was always about finding a way to like put you down, in a funny manner, like, oh, they had those mama jokes, your mom is this, your mom's that, or, just always trying to find a way to like insult you in some sort of way. So you had to kind of have a backbone, when I was a kid coming up, and still, I hear things all the time, and I've been insulted so many ways, but I don't really care. It doesn't really hurt my feelings, so to be politically correct, I think that it's just, I think it's silly. I think everybody's going too far out of their way to, try not to offend people, just be who you are. I think, don't obviously cross the line and, I don't recommend insulting somebody, but I mean, I don't think that you have to always be politically correct about everything, and I try to watch what I say, I try not to step on toes and hurt people's feelings. But I also, think that it's just complete bullshit, that everybody's so sensitive nowadays.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And now for everybody watching this, you're going to get to see a treat here. So I already had my last interview with Andrea all edited, ready to go. We actually played a game, so I was actually dressed like a politician. I had a nice red tie on, and we did a fantasy political matchup. So I'm not going to make Andrea do it again because just the first timing of it was priceless. So to all the fans out there, you're going to get to see that in a moment. So I will play that. But before we do, Andrea, I will let that close this interview out here today. So before you roll out right now, why don't you go ahead, plug your social media, management, sponsors, teammates, coaches, anyone you got to give a shout out to, please feel free to do so.
All right. I'll just tell y'all where to find me. And I'm at Andrea Lee on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I don't really use Twitter much, but you can find me there.
All right, guys, went out of place out here. I'm going to play that clip that I previously recorded with Andrea, and now you're going to see it here by the magic of editing. This is a fantasy matchup in which I give Andrea who's running for the office, and she picks who she'll vote for. So let's take a look at that now. First one I got for you, your boss, Dana White. Of course, he likes politics, supported Donald Trump heavily. He's going to be running for president of the United States against Bernie Sanders. Who gets your vote?
Oh my God. Definitely Dana would get my vote. I'm sorry. Dana would get my vote over Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'd definitely be pro Dana there as well. And then how about this one? This one's for United States Senate. We have a guy in your sport that causes a lot of chaos, Colby Covington, taking on the current Vice President, Kamala Harris.
Colby Covington. At least the people that I picked have a backbone. I mean, they don't care about being politically correct.
I have to say, I think that the Covington and Kamala Harris debate would be straight up fire. That is a much see debate that people definitely want to tune into. All right, let's move along with this though. Here, I have a local election now. This is going to be for county sheriff. Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus Superman. For sheriff. Jeez. I mean, Superman, I mean, he has all the powers and stuff. I think Superman, he'd be able to like just wipe everybody out, Batman's a regular person underneath, so I guess Superman.
Well, coming into this, I was actually going to say Batman for sure because I love Batman, but then I was thinking about it. We were talking about taxes before. Superman's going to save you guys money on taxes because he doesn't need a car. He can just fly around everywhere. Like there's not, the taxpayers don't got to afford the gas for the sheriff's car. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Batman's super rich, he's got everything. So I'm sure that, I don't know, never mind. I would still vote for Superman. Superman doesn't need anything.
Well, okay, we're on the same page with that one as well. Now let's move on to this one. This is for City Council. So the first nominee is a straight up badass, Gene Simmons, of course, from Kiss, right? Fire, tongue, cool, amazing, whatever. Versus Meryl Streep. Obviously, great actress, likes politics, but, I mean, come on, she doesn't like MMA. She said it, mixed martial arts isn't the arts. We can't vote for her, right?
Definitely not. Can't vote for her because, I mean, I don't know what she would do to MMA. I mean, that's my job. It's my career. So Gene Simmons it is.
All right, I agree on that one too. And then finally, the last one. This one here is going to be for Best Party Planner. So just as you process these nominees, just think like, who would you rather throw a party? Donald Trump or Stormy Daniels?
Oh, crap. I don't even know. Wait, who's Stormy Daniels?
The porn star that he slept with right before the 2016 election. That was like a whole big storyline because she wanted to be on the Celebrity Apprentice and she slept with them or whatever.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I think Donald Trump.
Oh, see, I actually disagree, and here's why. I'm thinking like Donald Trump, if he had a party, it'd be a bunch of guys like kind of dressed how I am now in a shirt and tie and like eating caviar with like classical music, and it might be a good time. Probably be some cool people there, but like I feel like you would be at Donald Trump's party, get a text like, yo, you gotta come to Stormy Daniels' party. There's a keg, and there's people partying in the pool, and there's a jacuzzi. Like, I just feel like it'd be a more fun time at Stormy Daniels' house.
Well, that's more of the party that I'd want to go to. So that's not, okay.
Would you change your vote then to Stormy Daniels on that logic?
Probably, yeah. I mean, you laid it out. You got me. I mean, you laid out a nice little blueprint of how the parties would go, and I definitely would rather be at the keg party than a classical party. So for sure, you got my vote.
All right, guys, if you like today's interview, please make sure you go ahead down to the bottom, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. And you guys know the drill with My MMA News. Keep going to our website, checking out the great work that me and my colleagues are putting out there. Also, please go to our social media accounts. Give us a like and a follow on those. And also, if you want to find me on social media, I'm at John Arapoli on Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you later, everybody.